All right, guys. So we're gonna go ahead into uh, chapter 5 of the license class, guys. You all should have seen already the video on chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4, and those are great. Chapter 1 is just a basic foundation of life insurance, of completing the application and underwriting. That's chapter 1. Chapter 2 is types of policies, what the different types of policies is. Chapter 3 is riders, provisions, and options. Chapter number 4 is taxes. Chapter 5 and 6 is 40% of the test. So most of the test is in chapter 5 and 6. It's the bulk of the test, but also it's the easiest part of the test. It's just laws. There's nothing trickery about this. Not the difference between term and whole life and universal, all the things you got to try to break down and factor out in your brain. This is simply number, dates, and timelines. Your license has to be renewed every 2 years. Who runs the Department of Insurance? The director. This is simple facts. So if you master this part, this is 40% of the test. If you master this part and have a good conception of the other things, then you're going to be great. So, guys, as we wrapping up down to this, guys, I'm going to give you the protocol if you're going to pass this test or because you're going to pass this test that you need to follow. Number one, once you go through your first 2 chapters, right, you should be covering your first 2 chapters, 2 chapters a day through the video. You watch chapter 1, chapter 2. At the end of that night, you need to be taking a practice test 3 times on chapter 1, 3 times on chapter 2. By the time you did it 3 times on each chapter, your score should be moving close to the high 70s, 80 percentile rates on the chapter study test. You're just doing a study by topic. You want to do one topic at a time because it gives you 15 questions. And you're moving yourself to the 80%. And why you want to don't move to the second chapter until you're getting 70, high 70, close to 80s on the first chapter. After the 3rd time, you should be there. If you're not, you totally not understanding this. So you probably need to give me a call or your upline a call or whatever. But anyways, chapter 1 and 2. Then you want to do the study by topic on chapter 1 and chapter 2. Then chapter 3 and 4. Then that night, study by topic 3 times each on chapter 3 and 4. Then now you're on 5 and 6, study by topic quiz on 5 and 6. After that, you want to take the exam guarantee so you can go green. Go green means now they're going to put all 6 chapters on one test for you. You pass it, you'll get a green light. And that green light is saying that if you go and take your test, Primerica is guaranteeing that you're going to pass it. You pass our practice test, they guaranteeing you that you're going to pass the real one. So if you follow the system, then you should pass the test on the first try. And here's what Primerica is saying. If you don't, they're going to pay for every test you take until you do. So you're going to pay to take your first test, it's $39. But after that, if you fail it, Primerica paying that $39 every time until you pass it. When you pass it on the first try, the $39 that you invested, they're going to pay you that right back. So anyway, guys, let's get into chapter 5 and 6 was the Missouri statute, rules, and regulations common to all lines. So there's 2 chapters on the laws. Missouri statute, rules, and regulations common to all lines. And then chapter 6 is pertinent to life insurance only. So we're going to start on page 90. And we'll have Vincent start reading for us on top of page 90. And I'll give you some highlight points, and then I'll pick up from there.
The director is the chief officer of the Department of Insurance, financial institutions, and professional registrations. In this course, Department of Insurance, the director is appointed by the governor with the consent of the Senate.
So let's stop there. The director is appointed by the governor with consent of the Senate. You got to know that he's appointed. They're going to try to trick you. Like who he's appointed. He's appointed by the governor with the consent of the Senate. And it goes on to say he holds that office concurrently with the governor until a successor is appointed. So there's no set term. So they're going to try to trick you on the test, say the director of insurance is in office 2 years or 4 years. And if you're thinking about mayors and presidents, you'll fall for that trick. But there's no set term. He holds that office concurrently with the governor until a successor is appointed. Does that make sense? So that's all you need to know about the real director. He regulates, he watches over, he governs the Department of Insurance. He holds that office for no set term. He's appointed by the governor with consent of the Senate. Examination of record. This is really important. The purpose of an examination is to ensure that the companies remain solvent and conduct business of insurance in compliance with state laws and regulations pertaining to licensing, policy forms, rates, claims, and market conduct. The directors or designated examiners must conduct a financial examination of any domestic insurance company at least once every 5 years. Highlight that. Once every 5 years, they must conduct an examination of the insurer. Not a particular office, but the insurer. So if you got State Farm and if their headquarters is in Washington, D.C., then that office in Washington, D.C. got to get audited at least once every how often?
5 years.
So there's a difference in how much, how many times, how often they must be or can be. They can get audited, they can get examined anytime the director deemed necessary. They must be once every 5 years. And here's the second key. If they get examination, they got to pay for it. The company has to pay for it, not the director of insurance, not the Department of Insurance. The company has to pay for it because if they're getting an examination every year, it's because that there's a report that's coming down that you're probably doing something improper or illegal. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so you're responsible for those fees. That's really all you need on that. Let's go to the third paragraph. In lieu of a financial examination of any authorized foreign or alien insurer, the director may accept a financial examination report on the company prepared by the Department of Insurance company's state of domicile. The director or any examiner may issue subpoenas and administer oaths to anyone on any matter that is relevant to the examination. If an individual does not appear or refuses to testify, file a statement, produce records, or obey a subpoena, the director may suspend, revoke, refuse any license or certificate of authority. So in other words, if they subpoena people to come and testify about something, or give a statement about something that's happening with the insurance company, an agent, a president of the company, and they refuse to do it, then the director can suspend their license. Because they say we're going to subpoena you, and we know some answers about certain situations. You can't just raise your hand and say, I ain't going to do it. I plead the fifth. Ain't no plea. You're going to come in, you're going to sit down, you're going to make, and you're going to answer it, or we can suspend your license or revoke it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They talked about in lieu of a financial examination of any authorized foreign or alien insurer, the director may accept a financial examination report on the company prepared by the Department of Insurance. So when they say any foreign, alien, or domestic insurer, they're just saying based on where they incorporated at versus where they do business at. So if I'm a domestic insurer, that means I'm incorporated in Missouri and I do business in Missouri. Like think about in your house, domestic violence. You beat up somebody that live in your house, right? You beat up your wife. That's domestic inside your house. Domestic insurer, they do business in the state and they incorporated in the state. Does that make sense? So then you go from a domestic insurer to a foreign insurer. A foreign insurer means they're incorporated in Missouri, but they do business in Illinois. Does that make sense?
Outside the state.
Exactly. An alien insurer is they're incorporated in Missouri, but they do business in Canada.
Okay.
So you think about it relationship wise, the further you get out, if I'm an alien, I'm out of this world. Does that make sense? I'm incorporated in Missouri, but I do business in Mexico. That is called a foreigner.
Okay.
I'm incorporated in Missouri, but I do business in Illinois. I'm a what? Foreigner, rather. Out the country is an alien. Out the state is a foreigner. Out in the state,
Domestic.
domestic. Does that make sense? Let's go over to page 91, cease and desist order. Because the director's role is to enforce insurance laws and protect the public from unfair trade practices. If the director suspects that an insurer or its agents has committed a violation or is engaged in unfair trade practice, the director may issue a statement of charges and hold a hearing for any purpose deemed necessary within the scope of the insurance code. Whenever it appears that the person is violating an insurance law of Missouri or any other insurance rules or regulations, the director may issue a cease and desist order. That means stop doing business. So they think a company's doing something they got no business doing, they'll issue a cease and desist order. This simply means, hey, stop doing business. We need to figure out what's going on. All right? So requiring the person to stop committing the violation. Any person who willfully violates any provision of the director's cease and desist order after it becomes final may be punished by up to $100,000 or imprisonment for 10 years or both. So if they issue a cease and desist order and they say stop selling insurance or stop doing business and you continue to do it, you can go to jail for 10 years and you can be fined up to how much?
100,000.
So remember, this chapter is just number, dates, and timelines, right? Who runs the Department of Insurance? The director. Who is he appointed by? The governor. With consent of the who? Senate. How long is he in office?
Until
Until a successor is appointed. In no set term, right? How often can the director conduct an examination?
Every 5 years, at least once every 5 years.
every year.
They can do it anytime they want to.
Right.
How often must they do it?
At least once every 5
At least once every 5 years. So there's a difference. You got to watch the word. Remember, every test that you take is designed for you to fail it. So they'll put in how often can he, that's any time. How often must he, at least once every 5 years. Does that make sense? So next, we're talking about penalties, the bottom of page 91. If the director determines after a hearing that a person is guilty of an unfair method of competition or an unfair or deceptive act of prohibited practice, the guilty person will be ordered to pay a fine of up to $1,000 for each violation, not to exceed $100,000 in a 12-month period, and or have his or her license suspended or revoked. So it's saying that if the director determined that agents are out here doing things improper, they can fine you $1,000 per occurrence, not to exceed $100,000 over 12 months. If you get over $100,000 worth of $1,000 fines, obviously you're doing something you ain't got no business doing. Does that make sense?
So, example, like, what?
Well,
What is
like, you know,
considered?
I mean, you can be lying to people, telling them they got this, but they ain't got that. Tell them it's these many years on the policy and it's that. You know what I'm saying? You're doing some stuff that's unpractical, unethical.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Misrepresentation, things like that, right? Forging signatures, stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can find $1,000 per occurrences, not to exceed $100,000 in one 12-month cycle.
Okay.
Interstate Insurance Product Regulations Compact. I'll let you guys read that on your own. It ain't gonna be too much of the test. Licensing requirements. What they're gonna jump down to? License requirements. Person required to be licensed. So anybody that want to sell insurance and receive a commission needs a license. That's what you got to remember. Anybody that want to sell insurance and get a commission, they got to get a license. The president of the company don't have to be licensed. The janitor don't have to be licensed. A person that explained the benefits don't have to be licensed. If you solicit insurance for the purpose of receiving a commission, then you have to be licensed. So you got to remember, are you going to sell it and receive a commission? If the answer to that is yes, you need a license. If you're going to just explain what people are entitled to, you don't. If you want to own a company, you don't. You just got to hire somebody with one to run it. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Producers. An insurance producers or producers is a person required to be licensed by law. Right? Licensed by law to sell, solicit, negotiate insurance. Producer license or issue for a period of how long?
2 years.
That's how long your license is good for. So when you take this test, your license is good for 2 years. After 2 years, you gotta renew it. So license is good for 2 years. All right. On that license, you gotta renew it every 2 years. In order to renew it every 2 years, you gotta do 16 hours, guys. Write that down. 16 hours of continuing education. 16 hours of continuing education. That's what you need. You renew the license every 2 years, and you got to have 16 hours of what's called continuing education to make sure you up on your game. 3 of those 16 hours got to be on a course called ethics. 3 of the 16 got to be a course called ethics. So you renew your license every 2 years, right? 16 hours of continuing education is what's required. 3 of those hours have to be on a course called ethics. Same thing with a business entity producer. So if you're gonna run a business, then whoever's running that business license got to be renewed every 2 years. How much does it cost? Same price, $100. They ain't gonna trick you on the price. If it's a business license or if it's a producer's license, it's $100. It's due every 2 years, right? Then under that, you got your non-residence license. Non-residence license means you live in Missouri, you licensed in Missouri, but you want to sell insurance in Illinois. You can do that. You ain't got to take no new test. All you got to do is go apply for that license in Illinois. Pay their fee. You got to be in good standard with Missouri, though. You can't be like, oh, man, I want to sell in Illinois because Missouri didn't suspended my license. No, you got to be good in Missouri to get a non-residence in Illinois or California, whatever. And so the only thing that the states are looking for is what's called reciprocation. It has to be reciprocal, meaning that Missouri is saying, we will let Illinois agents sell in Missouri as long as Illinois will let our Missouri agents sell in Illinois. So it has to be reciprocal, non-residence license. I'm not a resident of your state, but I want to make money over there. So you just got to fill out the application, be approved by that director, and pay whatever the fee is. Illinois is one of the highest in the nation. They want $200 some, probably $3, to get a non-residence license in Illinois. But write one policy to pay for it. Make sense? Exemptions from licenses. An insurance producer's license is not required of any officer, director, or employee of an insurer or organization employed by insurers, provided they are not directly or indirectly involved with the actual sale or insurance contract and do not receive any commissions. They ain't got to be licensed. Furthermore, the following individuals are not required to hold an insurance producer's license: a director or an employee of an insurer whose activities are limited to executive, administrative, managerial, or clerical position; the director or employee of a special agent assisting insurance producers by providing technical advice and assistance to licensed insurance producers. So a secretary ain't even got to be licensed. All people need to be licensed people that sell it and get a commission. Does that make sense? Also, remember, guys, the director of insurance, he can't have no vested interest in in an insurance company. He can't own no stock. He can't be getting paid on their payroll, because when it's time to pour down regulations, if you own stock in the company, you got to tell the company to cease and desist. Are you gonna do it? Probably not.
Probably not.
So he can't have no interest in no insurance company. He can't sit on the board or nothing like that. All right. Obtaining the license, page 94. It's the 5 bullet points is all you gotta know about obtaining the license. You gotta be at least 18. So Justin, you just made it, right? You gotta be at least 18 years old. You gotta file an application with the director. You gotta pay $100 licensing fee. You gotta pass the test, and then you have not committed any act that is ground for license denial, suspension, or revocation. So can't have no reason why we wouldn't issue you one. So you gotta be 18, pass the test, pay the $100, fill out the application, and you can't have no reason why we wouldn't give you a license. So certain things, background wise, will cause people not to be able to get a license. You got to make sure that doesn't apply to you. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right. Examination. The second paragraph under that says an individual applying for an insurance producer license who was previously licensed for the same lines of authority in another state will not be required to complete an examination. The only applies if the person is currently licensed or if the application is received within 90 days of cancellation. Right? So in other words, if you moved from Missouri to California, you ain't selling insurance no longer in Missouri. You can cancel your Missouri license and make California your residence license. But you got to do that within 90 days. And you ain't got to retest and do nothing like that. You're just transferring where you produce at. That makes sense? Renewal. We talked about that. You renew your license every what?
2 years.
2 years. So biannually. Like when I first seen that word, I'm like, what does that word mean? That means 2 years. You see, biannual, it means 2 years. The same thing. 2 years biannually. It costs you $100. We talked about that. Same as a business license. Continue education. You need how many credits? How many hours you need?
16 hours.
16 hours. How many got to be in a course called ethics?
3.
Right. So any excess hours that's accumulated, I write the second paragraph on page 95, any excess hours that you accumulate during the 2 year period may be carried forward only to the next what? 2 years. So if you need 16 hours of continuing education, but you went and got 20, 16 counted for this 2 years that's coming up. The other 4 extra that you got can go into the next 2 years. You can only roll forward up to 2 years. All right. So if you took 32 hours, then that's gonna carry through 4 years. You won't have to do it for 4 years. But every 2 years you need 16 hours, and 3 of those hours got to be on a course called what? Ethics. Right. Expiration. Your license expires every what?
2 years.
All right. So let's see. Wait a minute. If you got to do continuing education, if a producer allows his license to expire, the producers may reinstate the same license without passing a written exam within 12 months. So it's good for every 2 years, but if you let it expire, you got up to 12 months to get it back on the books without having to retest.
Okay.
So if your license was over with January 2019 and you didn't do your continuing education, you ain't got to go retest, right? It's February now. You can still go renew that same license up to 12 months. But you're going to pay $20, $25, highlight that. You're going to pay $25 for every month you was late. So what should have cost you $100 if it's April before you do it, it's going to cost you $200. Because they're going to penalize you $25 for every month that you late. Does that make sense? Same thing for a business entity license. You're supposed to renew it every 2 years. You late, they got you. You can still renew it, but you're going to pay $25. Change of address. If you move from Kasu over to Whitaker, you got to let the Department of Insurance know within 30 days. Hey, I moved around the corner. Right? Yeah, so they'll take care of that. All right. Reporting of actions, page 96. So if you get a felony on your record, you ain't got one now, but you end up getting one. You got to let the Department of Insurance know, because they got to look at what you did to determine if they're going to keep letting you sell insurance. That makes sense? You robbed the bank, you probably can't work for one no more. But whatever the situation is, you get a felony, you got to let the Department of Insurance know so they can determine what they want to do with you, and you got to report it within when? 30 days. Not a charge, but a conviction. They're going to try to trick you. You ain't gotta let them know if you've been charged or something. You gotta let them know if you've been
Convicted.
convicted. Does that make sense? You gotta let them know within 30 days. Fiduciary responsibility, page 97. All fiduciary means is the way you handle money. It's your responsibility. Fiduciary responsibility means the way you handle money. People paying you for their insurance. How are you handling that? All premiums must be remitted to the company within 30 days. So if you pick up a payment from somebody, you got to get it to the company within 30 days. Primerica, we want it the same day. We don't take cash, number one, but some companies take cash. Anytime you pick up money from a client, I don't care if you got their route number, social security number, whatever it is, when you get some form of payment, you got to turn it in by law within 30 days. Can't be riding around with apps in your trunk with people writing in route number and account number on it. You got to be up within 30 days. We want it right there and there. That's why we do most of our stuff electronically. When I put it in my phone, it goes to home office. Does that make sense? I can sit it on my end without submitting it to home office, but home office is going to wipe it out within 14 days. If I don't get it, if I don't put send on my phone within 14 days, my system automatically clears it out. So you got to submit that stuff. Premium handling, again, 30 days, you got to get the money in their hand. Record keeping. Producers must maintain complete records of each individual insurance policy unless it is the responsibility of the insurer. All right? You got to keep records for every policy that you write, unless it's the responsibility of the company. In our case, it's the responsibility of the company. They don't want you walking around with people's records. The records must be maintained for 3 years. I like that. And must be available for inspection by the director upon the director's request. Producers must be able to retrieve those records from storage within what?
5 business.
So they're going to ask you for some records when they do an examination. And whatever records they ask you for, you better be able to get to them within what? 5 business days. But they can't ask you for no records that's older than what? 3 years. So the records you got to keep for 3 years, and they're going to ask you for them, and you better get them within 5 days. Remember, this chapter ain't nothing but number, dates, and timelines. How often you got to renew your license?
Every 2 years.
Every 2 years. How many hours you need in continuing education?
16.
How many got to be in a course called ethics?
3.
3. How long does the director hold office? It ain't none. No set term, right? How often must they examine your records? Must they examine your records?
At least once.
Once every 5 years. How often can they?
Anytime they want.
So all this chapter is number, dates, and timelines. How old you got to be to get an insurance license?
At least 18.
At least 18. And you got to do what to get it?
Passed.
Pass the test,
Yes.
right? If you want to do it in Illinois, what kind of license you got to apply for?
Just
Non-residence license,
Oh, yeah.
right? If I want to move from Missouri to California, if I cancel my Missouri license, I got to renew it in California within
90 days.
90 days. See, this is all you got to block this in your brain. This 40% of the test, you should knock it on down. This is the easiest part of the test, and it's 40% of the test. Numbers, dates, and timelines. Does that make sense? Practice, drill, and rehearse this. All right? Record keeping. You got to be able to keep them on file for 3 years and get it to them within 5 business days. Commissions and compensation. There's one thing called profit sharing versus retrospective commission. Just right above it, retrospective commission, put down illegal. So all you got to put down is illegal. Retrospective commission is illegal. It's the bottom of page 97. Retrospective commission is illegal. It's just saying that somebody you sold a life insurance policy to, you sold them $100,000. You saying when the people die, they got to give you some of the money. Yes. I'm gonna get you this policy. Your brother died. You give me 40 grand of that 100. Right? So profit sharing is legal. Profit sharing is what a company says. If you write so much business, if it's profitable, then we'll give you a bonus. It's profit sharing. They're gonna share their profit with you. That's legal. But retrospective commission is illegal. On the back end, pay me something. All right, page 98. Regulations of insurer certificate of authority. A certificate of authority is a certificate that authorizes insurers, which is the company, to do business in the state. So any company that's doing business in the state of Missouri must have a certificate of insurance. All right, they must have a certificate of insurance, a certificate of authorization, right? Certificate of authority that authorizes you to do business in that state. Okay. Anybody that do business in the state without a certificate of authority is considered unauthorized or non-admitted. If you got a certificate of authority, you call authorized or admitted. I authorize you to do business in the state. You're admitted to do business in the state because you have a what? Certificate of authority. That authorizes you to do business in the state. That means the director checked you out, and now State Farm, you can do business in our state. You have a certificate of authority authorizing you to do business in the state. Does that make sense? So now you consider authorized and admitted. If you don't have a certificate of authority, you are unauthorized and non-admitted. Make sense? Now, if you decide you're going to do business anyway without a certificate of authority, you're guilty of a Class C felony. Highlight that. You're guilty of a Class C felony. So if a company decides, yeah, I ain't got no certificate of authority, but I'm going to do business in Missouri anyway. Okay, that's a Class C felony. And if you get guilty of a Class C felony, it's in bold. You see Class C felony? So you're guilty of a Class C felony, page 98.
Oh.
Yeah, so you guilty of a Class C felony, right? And you can go to jail, right? But that doesn't relinquish the legalities of the policy that you sold. So if you sold the policy without a certificate of authority, you're still obligated for what the policy said it was going to do, even though you was not authorized to even do it. You held responsible as a company. Does that make sense?
So certificate of authority, you get that once you pass the test?
No, that's for companies. You don't need it. You need a license.
Companies.
The companies need a certificate of authority authorizing that company to do business in the state. Does that make sense? So Primerica don't have a certificate of authority in New Jersey or New York.
So the main.
So we're not authorized. We can't sell in New York. So what they did is they bought a company who is because we got offices in New York. A bunch of them do a lot of production out of New York. But Primerica don't have a certificate of authority. So they bought a company that did. So this company right here had a certificate of authority. Little company, so Primerica bought them out.
Oh, so it's just a different.
It's a different company, but it's still up under the Primerica umbrella, so we can have agencies in New York.
I got you.
That makes sense? Because they didn't authorize us to do business in New York. That makes sense? All right, so market practicing. Market practicing. So you look at the page at the top of 99, and it's talking about misrepresentation. Right? That's what this means, that you lied. You misrepresented. That's a market practice, right? You lied on the application. You lied to the client. It's a misrepresentation.
Illegal.
It's illegal, right? False advertising. You're lying on TV, lying on the radio, lying in your publication, saying that your policy do something that don't do. That's false advertising. It's misleading, right? Rebating. It's big. This going to see this on the test 3 times probably. Rebating. Rebating is the acceptance. It's illegal, number one. But what's illegal? Rebating is when you offer somebody something to buy a policy from you. Girl, you buy this policy from me, I'll take you on a date. I'll be your boyfriend. You can't do that. I'll give you tickets to the Rams game if you buy this policy. I'll give you $20 gift card if you buy this policy. You can't offer nobody nothing to buy life insurance from you. They buy insurance because they love their family. Does that make sense? So rebating is the offer and the acceptance of anything that's not in the policy to buy the policy. I can promise you when you die, we're going to pay $100 grand. That's in the policy. I can't offer you no gift card. I can't offer you no baseball tickets. I can't offer you no dinner. You buy the policy because you love your family.
Right.
Does that make sense? I can't pay for your policy for you. I can't waive no premiums for you. I can't pay your first month for you. You buy the policy because you love your
Family.
and if you buy it because I promise you something that's not in the policy, it's considered rebating. And rebating is
Illegal.
the offer and the
Liver.
acceptance, the delivery. That's right. It's cool. Same thing. Offer and acceptance, the deliverance of it. That's right. Whatever word makes sense in your brain, that's what you need to know. That's good. That's illegal. So, illegal inducement. It is unlawful to pay, offer, or accept any of the following as an inducement to buy insurance. Any special favors, any stocks, bonds, securities, right? Anything of value not specified in the policy. That's an illegal inducement. I'm trying to induce you, entice you to buy a policy. I'm gonna give you some extra stock out the company. I can't do none of that. If it ain't in the policy, you don't get it. It's illegal inducement, boycott, coercion, or intimidation. It is illegal to be involved in any activity of boycott, coercion, or intimidation that is intended to restrict fair trade or create a monopoly. So you can't be the mafia like, you better only buy insurance from my company.
Or we coming back.
Yeah, exactly. You can't do that, right? As intimidating people or coercing people or boycotting other companies out. You can't do that. It's illegal, right? Gotta have fair trade practices. Defamation on page 100. Defamation of insurance. When you hear the word defamation, it's defaming. What do you think about when I say I'm defaming somebody's character?
I guess like tarnishing it.
Tarnishing it, bringing it down. So defamation of insurer means you talking bad about another company. You can't be going out and talking about, yeah, reliable, bad company. They don't pay no debt claims.
Wow.
Well, you can lose your license doing that because you can't speak nothing but facts. So I don't talk about other companies. I may give them a nickname like unreliable or something like that, but snake form, you know what I'm saying, something like that. But I'm not gonna say what they don't do. They don't pay the debt claim. I ain't finna do none of that about no company. I don't mention the company name. I say a nickname, unreliable, snake form, you know what I'm saying? But I ain't finna say they ain't gonna pay their debt claims and all this stuff, because that's defamation of insurer, and you can lose your license, right? Unfair discrimination. So discrimination means that you can't discriminate on who you will or who you won't sell a policy to, or how you gonna charge them. If we in the same classification, so say me and Vincent both is 43 years young, and we both 6'3", we both 220. But Vincent make more money than me. So I'm gonna charge Vincent $200 a month. I'm gonna charge me $100. But we got the same policy, we the same weight, same height, same health. But I'm gonna charge him $200 because he got more money. That's discrimination. Or you white, I'm black. I'm gonna charge you more. No, I can charge you more if you fat and I'm skinny, because they got to do with your health. You smoke, I don't. That's different. But discrimination on race and ethic and financial background, no, same price, same classification. Make sense? Missouri Insurance Guarantee Association. Write down, can't talk about. Put that to the side on there. Can't talk about. Missouri Insurance Guarantee Association. So Missouri Insurance Guarantee Association is simply an insurance policy on insurance companies. The state backs up and protects people for companies that may become insolvent. So if State Farm is going out of business, the Missouri Department of Guarantee Association backs that company, just like the FDIC back banks. So if your bank go out of business, your money's protected up to $250,000 in the bank by the FDIC. Well, the Missouri Insurance Guarantee Association does the same thing for insurance company. So it protects the policy owner, right, the beneficiary, and the insured for companies that may become insolvent. So the beneficiaries still get their money up to a certain amount. And the limits are up under here at the bottom of page 100, $300,000 life insurance death benefits, but not more than $100,000 in net cash value. So if you build up cash value, they'll protect it up to $100,000, and the debt benefit up to $300,000. Company go out of business, or they become insolvent, the Missouri Guarantee Association takes that company over to protect the clients. Then the premiums and all that stuff go to them. Does that make sense? So those are the limits: $100,000 in health insurance, $100,000 in present value of an annuity. Note: the association may not expend more than $300,000 total on the life insurance of an individual. So if somebody died, had $1 million in coverage, and the company went out of business, the Guarantee Association gonna protect you up to $300,000 of it, not the whole million. So it's protecting beneficiaries, insured, and policy owners against companies that may be insolvent or go out of business. They saying, listen, there's an insurance policy on your insurance company. So every company that does business in the state of Missouri to get a certificate of authority, they have to be a part of the Missouri Insurance Guarantee Association and pay premium into that. But they can't go tell nobody, hey, don't worry about if our company go out of business, because Missouri Insurance Guarantee Association gonna protect you. You can't use that, and you can't put that on your brochures, because they saying you ain't did nothing special. You gotta be a part of this association. So you can't use that as to solidify yourself. You can't even bring their name up. The only way you can talk about the Missouri Insurance Guarantee Association is if clients ask you about it. Clients say what happens if y'all go out of business, then you can talk about this. But you can't use this as no inducement, no enticement, or no validation of your company, because you didn't do nothing special. You got to be a part of this. Make sense?
Yep.
They protect the policy owner, the insured, and the beneficiary against companies that may be insolvent. Does that make sense? So anyway, that's all for that chapter. It's pretty easy, wasn't it? All right. So let's take a 5-minute break and we'll come back. All right, guys, we'll be back.